Jack and Jill had always been the couple others envied. Their love story seemed straight out of a fairy tale. High school sweethearts turned life partners, yet after a decade of marriage, the spark that once defined their relationship had dimmed. Life's routines had crept in, and they began to wonder, was this all there was to love? One evening, after another bland dinner eaten in silence, Jill voiced the question they'd both been avoiding. "Jill, maybe we need a break," she suggested tentatively. Jack, whose restlessness had been growing for months, seized the opportunity. "Jack, you're right. Maybe we both need some space to figure out what we really want." They agreed on the rules, a 6-month break to explore life as individuals. No cheating, no serious relationships. Just time to rediscover themselves and decide if their marriage was worth saving. What could possibly go wrong? Jack secretly saw the break as a chance to relive his youth. In his mind, he'd become the charming bachelor he'd once been, ready to take the dating world by storm. Meanwhile, Jill planned to use the time for personal growth, a thought that barely crossed Jack's mind. He was too busy daydreaming about freedom. In the first few weeks, Jack wasted no time diving headfirst into the dating pool. He downloaded every trendy dating app, updated his wardrobe, and hit the town. But the single life wasn't quite as glamorous as he remembered. The conversations felt shallow, and the women he met seemed to be looking for something he couldn't provide. Slowly, his confidence began to waver. Jill, on the other hand, blossomed. She enrolled in fitness classes, started attending networking events, and even took up painting. A long-forgotten hobby, her friends encouraged her to embrace this new chapter, and she did so wholeheartedly. As Jill's confidence grew, so did her appeal. Men began noticing her, a sophisticated, radiant woman who carried herself with grace and charm. Soon Jill's name was on everyone's lips. She was the woman every man wanted to meet, and every woman wanted to emulate. Invitations to exclusive events poured in, and her social calendar became packed. Jill had become the city's most eligible bachelorette without even trying. Jack's experience couldn't have been more different. He found himself scrolling through photos of Jill's glamorous outings on social media, shocked by the change in her. He saw her arm in arm with CEOs, artists, and other influential figures. She seemed so happy. It hit him like a ton of bricks. Jill was thriving without him. Fueled by jealousy and regret, Jack decided to win her back. He bought flowers, wrote heartfelt letters, and even started taking care of himself in ways he hadn't in years. But when he tried to reach out, Jill's responses were polite but distant. She was busy, too busy for his sudden change of heart. At the end of their 6-month break, Jill called Jack for a conversation. He arrived with a mixture of hope and desperation, expecting a tearful reunion. But Jill had other plans. A man came up, kissed Jill on the cheek, and said, "Hi, honey." Jill whispered in his ear, "Jill, give me a few minutes. I'll be right with you, babe." He said, "Ma'am?" "Okay, my dear." Then walked over and sat at another table. "Jill, Jack, this break was the best decision we ever made. It helped me rediscover who I am and what I want. And honestly, I don't think I can go back to the way things were. Jack, but I've changed. I see now what I took for granted. I want us to work. Jill, I'm glad you found clarity. But I've found something too, myself. I'm not the same Jill who needed this marriage to feel whole. I'm ready for a new chapter, and I hope you can be too." Jack left that meeting a changed man, though not in the way he'd hoped. Jill's rise to self-empowerment was a lesson he would carry forever. As for Jill, she walked away from their marriage stronger, wiser, and more radiant than ever. Proof that sometimes losing something familiar is the only way to gain something extraordinary. Months later, Jill's story became an inspiration for others. She authored a best-selling memoir about her journey and launched a foundation to empower women to rediscover themselves after setbacks. Jack, meanwhile, learned to focus on self-improvement, vowing never to take love for granted again. Their story was proof that the gamble to make it better could have surprising, even shocking outcomes.